Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us. All righty, should we kick things off? Everyone ready? Everyone excited? Well, thank you so much to everyone who has attended today. We really appreciate your support. We are exploring what's happening with third-party cookies, where they're going, what's happening with data privacy. But first, I just wanted to go through a couple of little housekeeping rules today. So we hope you have lots of questions for us. We absolutely love questions. And there's a little Q&A option on Zoom, just in your taskbar there. So it's next to in between the chat and the polls option. So please use that to ask any questions you'd like throughout the entire webinar. And we will get to answer those questions at the end. Anything that we don't get time to answer today, we will follow up with you and answer over email after the webinar. So please feel free to ask questions at any time. We do have a special growth marketing workbook for you as well. We've compiled it. It's got lots of useful insights and facts and information, and we will send it to you via email through a link. And it's also got a link to actually download this webinar presentation and the recording for you to view at a later stage. So we'll send that email out quite soon after the webinar with also an infographic with the key takeaways from this as well. So now I would like to hand over to our founder and managing director, Emma. Welcome, Emma.
Thanks, Jess. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for supporting us and attending our webinar today. Just a little bit about fileroom. We're a growth marketing agency and Platinum HubSpot Solutions partner. We work with our clients to deliver cross-channel strategies, and we place a key focus on maximising revenue opportunities through the sales funnel. Before we start, I would just like to introduce our speakers and also say a big thank you to the fileroom team and the team from HubSpot for collaborating with us today. So welcome to Silvia Vega, fileroom's Growth Marketing Strategy Team Leader.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to Danielle Jones, who's a Channel Consultant Manager at HubSpot.
Hi, everyone.
And welcome to Patrick Doyle, who is a Channel Consultant at HubSpot.
Hello.
Danny and Patrick work quite closely with the fileroom team, and with HubSpot today, we're keen to share our knowledge and findings with you, as we're passionate about education and sharing knowledge. We want to take a practical look at marketing life without third-party cookies. No doubt you have all been reading a lot of information about what's changing, and we've decided just to sort of take a deep dive into more the tactical side of what's actually going to change our worlds moving forward into next year. So basically, you're here all today to be part of our conversation and what's going to happen when the third-party cookies are retired. As you have seen, this has been driven by people wanting more privacy and control over their data. And no doubt, as fellow marketers, you've seen this starting to change with Apple and Facebook's privacy policies, and our ability to measure email open rates starting at the very front end of what is coming. But there's a whole lot more to follow. And at the end of today's webinar, we want to share our understanding of what's happening with data privacy and third-party cookies, along with what's changing next year, see how marketers will be affected generally as we execute marketing programs and have to learn and develop new strategies to overcome challenges with tracking, and how we can build a roadmap to support these changes moving forward. So as growth marketers, we believe it's actually quite a positive change. I know that can be a little bit scary, but moving into first-party data strategies enables us to get a lot more depth of insight into what we're doing. And whilst the changes have arisen because people generally want more control and a shift towards pull rather than push marketing, meaning as marketers, we have to get our products and services in front of the right audiences in the moment they're actively searching for us, by using tools and tactics that allow us to be in the right channel at the right time. So we're all used to being able to use third-party cookies to follow people around the internet, but that is the piece that's changing. And the strategy under that means that we can no longer follow people in the way that we've known. And our ads, in terms of third-party advertising, our ads are only going to show contextually if they're relevant to search content. So to support this, we really need to start looking at our first-party data strategies, and we need to get our heads around content-first customer experience and rethink the rules of engagement in our digital world. So as the digital world now centres on consumer trust, consent and transparency, we have to consider these points as the gateway to developing our own customer experience excellence. So I guess we're all in this together at the moment. We're all learning. We don't know exactly what the future holds, but the fileroom team have been working with our clients over the last 6 to 12 months in trialling different strategies and testing things. And we feel that while we're losing third-party cookies, we can actually transform our first-party data into strategic assets for our business, giving us more control and a better ability to deliver personalised experiences, track ROI, and protect our revenue streams as we move forward. So I'm just going to hand over to Silvia now for a deeper look at third-party cookies, just as a starting point, types of data, and the effects of losing them if you're not prepared.
Thank you, Emma. Well, you might be wondering what a cookie is and why losing them will affect your business digital marketing strategy. Cookies are bits of code that pass data between web servers and browsers and websites. In easy words, cookies are small codes that websites plant into computers to track behavior with the purpose of personalizing information for the users or your customers. To keep the eagle eye view on what is happening, it is important to understand the role of the data that is collected between the different type of parties. There are 4 different types of party data. Zero party data, this classification is quite new. So we will talk about zero and first party data as one. The difference between zero party data and first party data is that zero party data is the information that consumers freely and intentionally share with your company. Good examples are name, email, phone, and anything that you can collect through a form. Remember that high-quality databases are valuable assets for your company. Like sisters, first-party data refers to data that you can collect directly from your audience's behavior. For example, events such as website visits, the number of pages they visit, the time they spend in your website, the clicks they do. So they are not information that people are writing, it's information that you are collecting through behavior. The better you know your customers, the better marketing actions you can create for them. These two are your own data, zero and first-party data owned from your company. Now, we have second-party data, which is data you enhance using partners and trusted sources. For example, if a stakeholder shares with you the similar database and you have the consent from your customers, you can mix and match your database with theirs to enhance information on your shared contact. Both companies will get the same benefit. There are some data clean room platforms that collect the privacy and run text exchange. That's the second party data. Finally, the third party data. This is data not owned by you. You can access it through audiences platforms. For example, Google Ads, Facebook, or something that is called DMPs that are used from marketing and advertising. They create inferred audiences by collecting behavioral actions like consuming a specific type of content or clicking on a specific type of banner. So we can pay as marketers for using these audiences in our campaigns. okay? Now, how do the third-party cookies work? The third-party cookies are the ones that collect information from the users on the internet, so your clients or your future clients, gathering behavioral data between browsing sessions, from whom we can infer their interest. So marketers like you and me can segment by behaviors, interests, purchase intent, or any other characteristic that the behavior is showing. But it's better to learn it by examples. So I have here some examples for you. This is a Google inferred segment. This is how the cookies and third-party data look together. For example, in AdWords, if you want to target people who read about finance and banking, you can choose this affinity segment. As you see here, you can know the gender proportion, average age, top interest topics, besides other audience insights. This is a global audience, and then you can select the geographic target you want. Another examples to build audiences. This is one by interest. The first one is a group of people who is next to purchasing a home. Probably they are searching how to get a home loan, or they are browsing in realestate.com. The other example is by life events, like starting a new job soon. This means the users that are part of this segment are searching for job posts and probably watching videos about job interviews and salary calculators. It is very useful for us. For any segment you can choose, you can narrow the audience and to set a geographic location and select another more features to make it a sweet spot for your company. Then, have you seen that a product follows you? That's remarketing. And it's one of the greatest tools digital marketing has. It is directly related to a high purchase intention. If someone click on your product, or even better, added it to a basket but didn't buy, just not letting them to forget that intention for a couple of days sounds fantastic, isn't it? Well, not everyone likes that. We love this remarketing tool, but people are feeling uncomfortable with that. This kind of tracking in digital advertising has made a lot of people uncomfortable globally. In response, some governments introduced new GDPR laws. Globally, some digital platforms such as Apple, Google, Android, and Firefox decided to kill those cookies, the third-party cookies. And social networks like Facebook restricted the segmentation tools. About 80% of advertisers relied on third-party cookies, and 67% feel a combination of disappointed, frustrated, overwhelmed, helpless, and even confused by this news. Are you part of this statistic? I am. So, does removing cookies affect ad efficiency? The answer is yes. Yes, if you are not prepared. Why a cookieless future could impact your digital marketing plan? Because digital campaigns rely heavily on highly targeted audiences segments who you are more likely to convert into customers. If there are no tracking behaviors, then there is not enough data to infer quality segments, which means less right content to the right audience, which equals lower effectiveness. This is worrying. It is possible for marketing personalization and data privacy to coexist. You have the answer for this.
Yep. So with third-party cookies disappearing, the emphasis on privacy and data regulations is only going to continue to grow. So the biggest issue at the moment for all of us is simply the uncertainty. It seems that no one really knows what the future will hold, and we're all learning together. And we're seeing every day the bigger social media and advertising platforms are delaying decisions, like Google has kept deferring their decision as to when they're going to turn off cookies, but have announced they're going to do it middle of next year. TikTok have introduced a different way of sharing third-party data that supports their platform and their world. And as we move forward, we need to get control of the data that is ours and that we own. And essentially, it means that most B2C brands and many B2B brands will need to rethink their strategy going forward next year. So we've got a little bit of time still up our sleeves to get prepared. And while there are many companies that have been preparing for the change already since it started happening more than a year ago, other companies have delayed doing anything because the big platforms have had their delays. And it's going to come upon us quickly, and without preparing, we're going to get caught out. In a minute, I'll introduce you to Danny and Patrick from HubSpot, and we'll talk through how marketing personalization and data privacy can coexist. But to set the scene before we do that, let's have a look at some of the changes that are affecting how tracking and privacy changes will impact our businesses. So no doubt most of us are used to working with targeted programmatic advertising, and it accounts for the lion's share of advertising dollars and has depended on third-party targeted ads for many, many years. However, now losing cookies means that our ability, as Silvia's just explained, to track many online actions is being reduced, which means that the way that we can remarket to our audiences has to change, and it has to be driven by data that we own. So we need to handle attribution ourselves differently. And from the testing our team has done more recently with some of our clients' campaigns, we've been testing contextual advertising, where we've been matching lookalike audiences through CRM segmentation on the ad platforms in a different way. And we're seeing some really positive improvements over traditional third-party tracking, which we feel is a really positive thing. Contextual advertising itself is a type of targeted advertising where the platform algorithms select advertisements based on keywords and other metadata included in the content that your audience is searching. So it essentially means that your audience will only see your content when it is relevant to them and in the moment they are searching for the products and services that you provide. It removes us being able to follow them around, but it also means that we have a much stronger chance of getting their attention and converting them when we appear when they're in the moment looking for us. So for companies that already own quality CRM data and have invested in good CRM systems, have invested some of their budget into keeping their data clean and structured, working with key audiences for lookalike targeting will be a natural evolution. And there's an opportunity for them to actually improve on performance of campaigns with these tactics. For others who are not using CRM tools yet, or not considering data structure and management as a key priority and strategy going forward, it will get more challenging once third-party cookies are phased out. In our world, every day, we see a lot of companies wanting to skip this altogether to go straight into tactics, which will be a mistake in the shift if you don't get your data in order. This is why you need to make sure that you have a really good customer data platform where you maintain solid, clean data, because it's going to make a big difference to your execution. Really a focus on building and leveraging first-party data is the way forward, because it allows you to build trust with your customers. And unlike third-party data, you own it. So it gives you the opportunity to nurture genuine relationships and bring personalization into your approach. All you need is the tools to execute it properly. You can use personalization to learn more about your customers and capture live insights to translate into targeted messaging that hits the mark. You just need to make sure you establish privacy compliant first-party data collection. And that's where we come, with the focus on the consent first customer experience methodology. So here's Patrick from HubSpot to talk about this in some more depth.
Yeah, thanks, Emma. So HubSpot mission by the end of 2022 is that all our customers will be able to fully realize their first-party data so that they're able to target, report, and optimize in the cookieless privacy-first world. As we move through this journey, HubSpot has partnered with some of our key advertising platforms like Google to ensure we're able to help our joint customers achieve a high-level result they've come to expect with ease. We're going to walk you, Danny and I are going to walk you through how to prepare for these changes in 3 simple steps: build, connect, and automate. So let's first jump into build. This is how you would build and add context to your database. We need to start collecting and storing more first-party data in preparation for these changes. I know that I thought at first it was really limited ways to actually be able to complete this, but as you build out your customer journeys and audit existing ones, there'll actually be multiple places that you can add and expand your first-party data collection. Survey data is really, really helpful. It gives you contextual information provided directly by the customer. Surveys can be completed in multiple places, including on your website and via email. If you don't have the customer's email yet, you can also collect them through direct chat. Having a chat system either on your website or on a social media bot that links directly through your CRM can help you ask your contacts more qualifying questions that can be stored as contact properties for you to use in the future. Not all information, though, will need to be given to you directly by your contact. Online behavioral data such as page views, logins can help you track their journey and get to know their preferences for content or different products that you offer. Research shows that the higher the value you provide to your customer, the more likely they are actually going to want to share information with you. This means that in this new world, membership programs are a golden opportunity to collect information you require. And of course, we still have our classic collection points like inbound campaigns, which HubSpot's a big advocate of, contact us forms, and purchase history that's logged in your CRM. All CRMs will actually be able to provide you basic information, or store basic information like names, email addresses, company information. But a good CRM like HubSpot goes far beyond telling you names and emails. It tells you the additional information about the customer journey, things like how they found your business, how they got to know your brand, how they interacted with your website and content. Using first-party data will enrich your team's ability to segment and score your leads, helping your marketing and sales team prioritize their future outreach. To gain that advanced information on contacts behavior on your website, you will need to install tracking codes. Each tool like HubSpot, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn have their own methods for this. Your CRM tracking code, like the HubSpot code we use, would be installed on all of your website and landing pages. Google Tag can help advertisers look for deeper measurements of performance across the Google Run channels, and can also be used for cross-channel attribution and enhanced e-commerce reporting if you're in that industry. Google Tag Manager allows you to manage multiple tags on one site. There's lots and lots of information about tags out there on the internet. So the easiest way to find out more about these is I would actually dive into, say, Facebook's website or Google's website to get their actual information about this. Now I'm going to throw to Danny, who's going to cover Connect.
Thank you, Patrick. The next part of this journey is really then how you actually connect all of that information together. So if I go into this a little bit more detail, a lot of businesses, and the reality of businesses today is that they're holding hundreds to thousands of data points on us all, on each contact that they interact with. Realistically, though, currently for a lot of businesses, a lot of companies that I speak to, this is held across maybe different teams, different people, and different tech solutions that they're utilizing to kind of pull this all this together. Often what happens here as well then is that these systems are siloed, and it's really hard to kind of pull all that together to get any kind of meaningful customer journey from point A to point B on a single contact. And when this data, when these processes and these teams aren't aligned and working together, your buyer experience can really suffer as a result. So what's actually happening here in the background is that, number one, internally, our teams are working from these different systems. When there's multiple UIs, lots of different ways of utilizing these platforms, it can lead to really poor team adoption, and that creates inefficiencies internally. And when things like the market changes really quickly, like we experienced in the past few years, it can become really difficult to, and pretty expensive as well, to adapt and change and manage those different processes throughout those different internal teams. So we really need to be able to pivot pretty quickly. And ultimately, all these side effects lead to a negative impact on revenue and the ability to grow and scale as an organization. They create these kind of really these blockers in our growth. So one way in which we can look to solve that is really about building a structure for this new cookieless world. We're wanting to remove these silos. We're wanting to connect customer data, ideally into one centralized platform. And that's generally where HubSpot comes in. So we're looking at HubSpot as a single source of truth. And because we crafted HubSpot from the ground up, our customers are getting a product that's helping them from A to point B. So really looking at that buyer experience. So getting that single view of a customer from the moment they entered into your business ecosystem to the minute they become a customer and beyond, we're able to collaborate. And we can also speed up that team efficiency because they're combining efforts. They're using one UI, one user experience. Therefore, it's quick to learn and they can adapt across team. And also we're reducing the total cost of ownership because we're consolidating that technology into one platform. So I guess there are really some things to think about when selecting your CRM. Is thinking about not only storing that information, we're also wanting to think about how we actually integrate all of that data into one central platform so that this can give us a window into our customer and a really great view into how to take steps forward. I'll pass back to Patrick, who's going to talk about automating some of this as well.
Yeah, automation is one of my favorite aspects of HubSpot. It was the thing that actually wowed me about when I learned HubSpot coming from my last jobs, where I was really worried about labor hours. So I'm like, oh man, automate it. You can save like hundreds to thousands of hours of manual work a year. And that's what HubSpot's trying to do to help you in this new world as well. So then this slide shows an example. It's not a full list, but it shows you an example of some of the features that are live or in development that HubSpot has been creating to help you utilize, where you can utilize these in this new world to help you out. So HubSpot has introduced a cookie banner tool that allows you to display your cookie policy and allow visitors to accept this. However, this doesn't override the changes of third-party cookies. It just allows people to see what your cookie policies are and choose to accept them or not. You can also edit them as well. So we built that right in HubSpot to help everyone stay really, really compliant. But obviously, you'd have to take into account your own, where you live and work and where the regulations around you are. You can't just straight away build it out of the box and expect to be super compliant. A key factor in creating an effective marketing or sales strategy is actually being able to identify where the contact is in their life cycle with you. So HubSpot has used our life cycle stages, and we've introduced new custom life cycle stages to power all of these new sets of tools. So it's a really key part of the CRM that will need to be utilized in the future to make all of these other additional updates work. So I'm going to talk you through kind of like a use case and a practical example we're all going to understand of like how this could work. So if we jump to the next slide, this is an example that we've put together. We chose real estate because everyone's either rented a house before or bought a house before, so you've all experienced this situation. So I'll run through an example here of how this can work. So let's pretend that I'm a real estate agent and I'm advertising a property through Google. I've created my ads and I've linked them to all of my best property pages on our website. Along comes Sally. She's looking for a 3-bedroom property in Melbourne and wants a newer build and a nice outdoor area because she's super fussy. She clicks on an ad that takes her to our website. When Sally reaches our website, she is prompted to accept the cookie banner that we have set up right inside the HubSpot tool. Once she hits accept, the Google and HubSpot tracking tools fire. Sally decides this particular listing isn't right for her and her family, but she would still like to hear more about 3-bedroom properties within 5 kilometers of Melbourne CBD. She completes a form to hear all about our future listings. Once this form is completed, a contact record is created inside HubSpot. Because my real estate agent is super busy, because the market's going crazy, we would actually consider this type of inquiry only a warm lead. So we have a workflow automatically update her life cycle to subscriber. Because Sally has specified the price range, the room numbers, using a HubSpot workflow tools, we automatically add her to our ad audiences so we can target her with 3-bedroom 3-bedroom house ads in the future. At the same time this is happening, anonymized hash data is sent to Google via our new conversions API. These events are used to help optimize automated ad bidding and help us control our spending in the future. These ads will help keep our properties on top of mind for Sally over the next coming days. 3 days later, we load all of our new properties into HubSpot and 3 matched Sally's needs for her family. So an email is automatically created and then sent to Sally with all of these properties. But because Sally's super busy, she's on the train, she sees the email, she clicks through and she sees a property she loves. Because Sally clicked through that CTA and viewed that page, we store that information in the CRM against Sally's contact record. Using a workflow our agency has previously set up, we then add her to an ad audience for this very specific property. And because she's busy, within hours, she's actually forgotten where she originally seen the property. But later on in the day, she's scrolling through Facebook and luckily she sees an ad from our agency for that specific property that she loved. She clicks the ad and requests to view it. Sally's contact record is automatically updated from subscriber to lead and automatically signed to a property agent. That works really well for us because our marketing and sales team are working in one platform, so we can pass that lead from marketing to sales just through a simple automation. Once Sally has viewed the property, she decides to buy it, and the deal is completed offline because we know buying a house, lots of information, so that's all completed offline. And then the information is loaded into HubSpot, including updating the deal stage to close one, which triggers the life cycle stage to be updated to homeowner. Sally is then automatically removed from the ad audience. The lead ID, lifecycle stage, value of that deal are all sent to Google with our offline conversion import. Sharing the offline conversion information is actually really important because it actually will help Google systems learn which type of leads are actually going to give you the highest ROI for your advertising spend. So for more information about these details, this is a very high level view, but we do have another webinar we're going to send across to you that HubSpot run with Google that goes into much more detail how customer matching works across both platforms. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an insight to how using a CRM for marketing and sales teams can help you in this new world. And I'm going to pass it back to Emma to final wrap up.
Emma, you're on mute. Sorry.
Not a good start. Thanks, Patrick. An interesting takeaway about what Patrick was talking about and the shift to away from third-party cookies is using CRM and HubSpot in particular. And there's a reason why we have become a HubSpot partner, is that once we have consent from our customers to involve them in our marketing and remarketing, the shift moves to also being able to use IP addresses to track. So we also know that basically if the customer is on an IP address and they're on their desktop and then later they're on social media, then we're able to move forward. Things are shifting so that we can serve ads up based on knowing who the customer is, provided we have their permission. So what it all comes down to, and also the theme, as you can see, developing through the day, is the need to earn trust with our customers and build a relationship with them that enables us to communicate regularly and to provide them with personal information, as Patrick has demonstrated. We can get right down to what they're interested in. So we don't need to serve them up general information about what we do. We can actually start addressing what they want and need, and actually at a stage where they're looking for it now, which actually gives us the ability to increase our conversions overall. So as long as we stay on the right side of privacy regulations moving forward, we can really improve results. So one of the key things that we recommend is setting a functional foundation first. So before looking at your data and how you're going to structure and segment it, spend some time revisiting your strategy overall. So that means going back to your customer personas and really understanding them more deeply, what triggers them, what motivates them, how they're searching for you. Because in addition to advertising and the loss of cookies in that space, it's a cross-channel strategy delivery that's going to give you the most effective results moving forward. And we'll see a shift to organic and content marketing and SEO as being key and central to new strategies moving forward. And at the bottom of that is our data. So again, we can't emphasize enough how important it is to start focusing on that now, because without it, it's going to be challenging moving forward. So before we get into some questions, I'd just like to leave you with a few tips from our team to get the ball rolling with your roadmap. If you haven't started already. As marketers, we're used to looking at a lot of different metrics as to how we measure different channels, how things are performing. But from a growth marketing perspective, we need to sort of roll back up and start connecting back up to overall business objectives. So looking at top level KPIs and using CRM data and insights along with attribution to determine which channels are working best for us. Keep focused on what is the conversion at the end of the day and what's important to you. And when it comes to building data and audience, we should be looking at contact conversions as well as revenue and value of the customer lifecycle with our businesses moving forward, especially as we start to potentially get affected with the ability to sort of deep dive into some of the deeper metrics we've been used to because of privacy changes. It's important to establish what's really important for your business and what you're going to measure when delivering your marketing campaigns moving forward. And in terms of that, you need to select your first party data strategy and map, say, top 5 priority actions between now and moving into the new year that you can get started with. As we discussed earlier, there are many different CRMs on the market that you can look at, but you need to spend time really understanding the features that they're offering you, because it will move deeper moving forward. You need to work with CRMs that can provide the contextual and behavioral data that you need to drive segmentation properly in order to keep optimizing and improving performance. And this is where, as I said, you all know we are a HubSpot partner, and I have personally worked with a lot of CRMs throughout my career, and I have not come across any that have the features in the way that HubSpot works. It is absolutely brilliant to be able to drill down to what generates revenue, right down to pieces of content, right down to ads, SEO tools, everything. It brings all channels together and gives really great insights. And the real live dashboards and things like that can just give you data on the go, so that you're not having to spend hours and hours compiling reports to see where you're at. So I guess last but not least, one small thing to get started straight away. A lot of people will know that Google are retiring the Universal Analytics next year, so you need to tick that off sooner rather than later to make sure all your events and tracking is still working when that retires. So if you need some more information on that, we're happy to share that with you, and we can send some links and so forth with the content that's coming out after the webinar. So we might move into Q&A.
Okay, so there are a couple of questions on the board, and some of them are directed towards some of the panelists. So I will ask you and get you to answer live. So the first question is for Silvia. What is the differences between zero and first party data?
That's a good question. Zero-party data is a brand new concept. That's why it's probably you haven't heard about it before. It was created to separate that data that comes directly from the customer from data that comes from automation and business intelligence tools, with the authorization of customers both. Zero-party data can be any manual form that you have to collect contact details. As was Patrick saying, that it is about the basic data that you can get. First-party data needs IA tools. You can use the basics such Google's Analytics or advanced such as HubSpot, which gives you more potential to collect all this type of data. In any case, both of are close related and complementary. Zero-party data will gain value if you use first-party AI tools to cross information. The more you know your customers, the better performance you will get. So this is the fact that you have to take away from this webinar today.
Okay, this one's questions for anyone on the board there. When exactly will third-party cookies disappear? I'm not sure if Silvia, you want to answer that one as well?
Yes. Actually, this is another question that's important. Well, guys, this has already started. Apple already gave control to iPhone and Safari users to block third-party cookies. Have you seen the notification to request permission in your phones? Who says yes to that? Everybody is blocking the third-party data. In Australia, iPhone leads the mobile market over the 60% of people. So this is quite important for us. Google said it will delay a plan. Google has delayed the plan for 2 times, and he said that's going to be until late 2024. But of course, when the browser market in Australia as well is over the 65% of people using Chrome, anything that it comes about Google and Chrome, it is important to us as well. And not to mention Google Analytics. Google Analytics started to change from Universal to G4. By the next July, it's going to disappear Google Analytics. That is one of the big changes Google is doing. So this has already happened. Probably the third-party cookies are still around. Probably Google is saying that they are going to disappear by 2024, but we today have huge changes that implies that we need to change our strategies.
Great, thanks, Silvia. So I've got another question here for one of our HubSpot team members. So Sally is just wondering if is HubSpot as a CRM quite difficult to set up and manage? Do you need to have a web developer or someone experienced in high-level marketing to actually set it up and all your automation and manage it? Or is it sort of something that's quite user-friendly?
No, I can answer this one. Like prior to working in marketing and then working in at HubSpot, because I was on the other side before using HubSpot as a user, I knew nothing about this type of technology. I knew nothing about marketing, sales, etc. And like within a few months using the HubSpot Academy, I was able to set up a lot of things myself. And then a lot of it we learned through partners teaching us as well. So people like fileroom might set up something that's a little bit more complicated, but the basics you can definitely set up yourself, definitely. And there's a lot of information out there on HubSpot Academy, YouTube. Partners are publishing things all the time, so it's actually pretty easy to learn and set up.
Great, thanks so much, Patrick. As I've used HubSpot myself, I've found it without any prior knowledge of it when I started this job role. I just found it so user-friendly and it's very intuitive, so which is great.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful software to look at, so it's very nice.
Okay, I've got another question here from Jonathan. What kind of information does the GDPR apply to? I actually don't even know what GDPR stands for. I know it's a little a thing you tick when you fill out a form. Emma, I'm not sure if you want to answer this one or Pat.
Yeah, sure. GDPR is the General Data Protection Regulation. It started in the EU, but it does have global impact. So basically, it's any information relating to an identifiable person who can be directly or indirectly identified within your organization. Basically, it's really stringent in terms of compliance, and here in Australia, I mean, we're primarily bound by Australian legislation and so forth. However, we're not free of GDPR because anyone who has a European background that we hold information on means that we're caught up into that as well. So also when we're holding more confidential information like birth dates, bank accounts, tax file numbers, things like that, not all businesses need to hold that in their CRM, but privacy and the way that data is managed also comes into GDPR and the requirements to comply under that. The fines are hefty. Just as I said, just because we're outside the EU does not mean that we're completely free of that law. And essentially, it also gives the person whom you're holding data on the right to request all data you hold on them with complete transparency. So you need to be able to have people inside the business who can act as a conduit and a data privacy officer who can respond to things like that if requests come in. So it's really important to educate yourself on what that means for your business. Larger businesses, there's with most things, and the same in Australia, there's certain, depending on turnover and other things, there's certain pieces that apply, but that's important to get across.
Great, thanks so much, Emma.
Okay.
Anything more to add on that one or no? Perfect. Okay, I've got a question here from Ivan. Can you share potential concepts to develop trust from website visitors between the time they decline cookies and when you ask for their contact information? He asks because he presumes that, or I presume they don't want you to have their data. Emma or Silvia? Do you want me to read it again?
No, I can get it. Well, consumer trust is earned. We need to start working on that today. Customers are willing to trust brands with data exchange for experience if they are high value for them. So if you start to build this relationship up, give value for the client, they are willing to give back their details. If you demonstrate that you are protecting the data, you have the high tools, the highest tools to protect all around the browsing, people are going to be comfortable with you, and they're going to stay with you for longer. So protect your website, protect your database, follow very closely everything. It's not because it's a law, it's because if you have a breach, it can harm a brand, you know, and we have very recent and sad examples in the market about what is happening with the spam now and hackers. So yes, the best way is to protect and to build trust.
Great, thanks, Silvia. I've got a question here so this question is from Jonathan. What if a customer doesn't allow me to collect information with the cookie banner and on their phone? So I think that one is quite similar to what you've just said, Silvia. It's about earning trust and needing to collect. Sorry, I'll let you, if there's anything else you would like to add to that. No, that's okay. We can move on to the next question.
Well,
also,
we need to understand that we always will have anonymous users and identified contacts. We need to play with both. The anonymous users are everyone that is coming to our website and having this experience, probably consuming our content, but not leaving the details. We can engage with them with different tools in advertising, remarketing, and get them to gain that trust to become identified contact. When we can have this conversion to leave, we can start playing in the good way, activating all the tools that we have in order to give them a highest experience and value.
Can I just add to that as well? Just sort of coming back to that, that's where making sure in terms of our websites, you know, which is essentially our shop fronts that people come to learn about us. If we serve up content that's relevant to why people are visiting us around the site, and we ensure that the various pages of our website that people land on are relevant to what they're searching, we're more likely to get acceptance of cookies than if we serve up irrelevant or general information. So it's a matter of also looking at data within the CRM to sort of see a percentage of people that are declining to accept cookies versus the ones that are, and determine also with insights which pages they visited on our websites against the search criteria that they've come, in order to be able to improve consistently as part of our strategy that content, and actually get that rate down in terms of people not accepting cookies. It's all about keeping it relevant and to the customer experience, I think.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Emma. Okay, I've got a question here from Yaz. What if I already have a database of customers and I want to integrate it with an AI tool to collect more first-party data? And can HubSpot identify my current customers and give me more information about them than most AI tools? So maybe Danielle or Patrick, would you like to answer this one?
I think the key thing here is, so we can certainly import existing customers into our CRM, but we still need to be asking for consent around tracking their activities via our website. So CRM can be a really valuable tool in order to kind of collaborate and contain all of that that information. But we also needing to be kind of adding that layer on in terms of maybe what have they purchased from us before, and really nurture based on intent and their previous behaviors that we already understand about them. And while certainly obviously moving that forward, growing that database via the different techniques that we've discussed today. So yeah, it's definitely a multi-pronged approach with existing customers and growing that list.
Yeah, I'd say like the best way to figure it out would be to actually approach someone like fileroom, definitely approach fileroom and speak to them about which tools you actually want to use in collaboration with HubSpot. And then they'll be able to give you a good strategy and work with you through that kind of process.
Great, thanks. Actually, there's another question for Danielle and Patrick about, can you still track or see what parts of your site anonymous visitors look at and how long they stay if they don't accept consent?
That's a really good question. So we are tracking via our HubSpot tracking code all visitors, regardless of if we know who they are or not. The point in which they become a contact in our CRM, though, is when they've converted in some way, shape, or form on the website. At that point, we can then backtrack all the history. But until they give us some level of information about who they are, is only the point in which we can create that contact and then backtrack those anonymous visitors into actual contacts in our CRM. So kind of short answer is yes, we're tracking, but we can only understand who they are when they do offer that conversion point. So really key message here is like, let's try and increase some of those conversions, increase that trust as Silvia's been talking about, so that we can then we are kind of offering something of value in return for them giving their details and information, and therefore we can include them as part of our ongoing strategy.
Great, thanks so much, Danielle. Just one more question here. So the inferred audiences in Google AdWords are supposed to be disappearing and on Facebook and all the other tech platforms. So does this mean lookalike audiences are also disappearing? Silvia, I would like to answer this one.
No, because I don't know. No one knows. Google hasn't come back with that details, but they are enhancing the G4 analytics, and I feel that it is starting point to create audiences through conversions on events. So there are some changes that are happening. On the other hand, Facebook started to cut segmentation details. They started with the most, have to say, sensitive topics, such as religion. Yes, 1 year ago, we could segment by religion on Facebook. Now we can't. That makes sense now. But what's going to happen next? I wouldn't be surprised if in the close future we won't be able to segment by gender, for example. So we don't know what is happening, what is going to happen. That's why it's so important to prepare ourselves from today, because what we do know is databases are our tool, our asset, and how we can identify our customers and learn from them and infer our own segments from our own knowledge. So yes, that's the answer is I don't know.
No problem. Thank you so much, Silvia. All righty. Well, it's 10:02 now, so we'll wrap things up. I just want to thank everyone for joining us today and attending. We really appreciate your support. We hope you've learned a little bit about cookies and what's happening in our digital marketing world. If you do have any more questions, please do shoot us an email or give us a call or contact us over a chat. We're available via all different communication platforms. I just want to thank all of our panelists as well, Emma, Silvia, Danielle and Patrick. Your insights have been really, really helpful. And if anyone does have any more questions specific to any of HubSpot for Patrick and Danielle, please do contact them and feel free to ask anything you'd like. If anyone else, one of our panelists would like to say any last words, please feel free.
I'd just like to again thank you for everyone for joining us and sharing some of your spare time today just to learn a little bit more. I think as Silvia points out, it's a bit uncharted as we move forward, but early testing and early preparation will mean that we'll continue to deliver our marketing activities with great results as we all move forward.
Great, thank you so much, Em. All right, wonderful. Well, I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day. We'll shoot through that email over the next couple of days with a key takeaways infographic for you all, and also the key links to download this presentation and recording, and also to get your own growth marketing workbook. So thank you so much. Hope everyone has a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.